It's always the best way to start one of these. Whatever floats your boat.
Talking about dress up. Here we cover all sorts.
Yeah, we've gone from red bedrooms to dark lights to dress up.
The darkest side of Feline RPM.
Anybody would think this was a nighttime show.
We're missing the wine.
Ah,
yes. Yes, sadly so. Oh, I know.
I hope you're going to join us for the Christmas party on the 20th.
Is that an online thing?
Yeah, that's the RPM thing. Tuesday Night Lives.
Oh, yeah, of course. Nice.
I didn't know the Christmas either.
It takes me a minute.
Oh, Maya, you can't start saying, I don't
know that.
Well, humbug.
No.
Not into those festivities.
Shocking.
I barely follow the real ones.
Oh my gosh. See what I'm doing with people? Hi, Heidi.
Oh, yeah. Hi. It's good to see that there. Yeah. So this month, we're going to be talking about anxiety. So we're going to do it from a cat's eye view. And I think actually, talking of Christmas, it's really, really appropriate because one of those big changes in many, many households, not Amaya's, obviously, is going to be what we do to dress up for Christmas. All of the house trimmings, you've got the... Now, steady, I know what you were thinking, Julianne.
I know what you mean.
You just can't change yourself, can you? Just like... But yeah, just from a point of view of, we bring in this really pungent tree into the household, okay, and expect that our cats are just going to be super cool about the whole thing of Christmas because it's just full of joy and festivities. And actually, we've got to think about that a little bit. And I think it's really good that we maybe just go through some of those things today and deal with anxiety generally. So, Julianne, talking about anxiety and feline anxiety, what would you generally share with clients that are dealing with cats' anxiety? Are there any books? Are there any? Do you have any shortcuts, or do you have your own little sort of section on your website? What do you do generally as your starter for one?
Wow, that's like the biggest question ever, Brendan.
No, like, just the your life, intro.
Julianne.
Yeah, what's the meaning of 42.
How do you deal with anxiety? Give us one thing. So I think, like you said, having
you must have a go-to text. You must have something that you read and thought, oh yeah, that's really where I come from. As a backup cheat sheet.
No, I don't. Because for me, it's not like a read this and you fixed it, because it's different for every cat, and you've got to find out where it's coming from. So I know we're going to talk about different ways to support them and where it comes from, but I think for me, whoever I'm talking to, whether it's, I'm doing a live again on Monday about anxiety at Christmas, I've got a masterclass next week, I've got blogs about it, we're doing it now, but it's about knowing your cat and knowing what causes them anxiety. What do you look for and where is it coming from? That's what I start when I have the conversations around anxiety. I don't generally point people to something like a book or whatever, because it's about having a conversation, because sometimes we're not really aware that the cat has anxiety. So the first port of call is, get some help, whether that's watching like us live or doing a bit of research about where anxiety comes from, Googling it and things. It's trying to understand it for me. So I would start to talk to people and say, why do you think your cat's got anxiety? So there are obvious signs, weeing around the house, increased aggression, but actually there are so many other more subtle symptoms and behaviours that guardians don't always know you know, are part of anxiety, you know. So I'm gonna start talking about a sideline of it, because that was a very general question. So like you said about Christmas, you know, let's think about bringing the tree in, whether it's real or plastic, you know. From a cat's perspective, because that's what we're doing today, cat's eye view, there is now this climbable, sparkling, bristling with tinsel, you know, beautiful tree that the cat's like, oh yes, this is my time, you know. And some cats will be great. Let's have fun. Max, for example, straight up the tree, I would imagine. We're not having one this year. But others, they're going to be like, what on earth have you brought into my territory? Like, what is that thing that is now in my space that smells completely different, whether it's from the attic or the garden centre? And they're going to be scared, you know. So it's understanding, like, for your cat, how are they affected by the tree? So like Amaya, you I know we just mentioned that you're not particularly Christmassy, but are you having a tree? Because you've moved twice, haven't you, recently? So how are your cats? Are you having a tree this year?
No, actually, I haven't put a tree in many years, but I did work in an animal protection services, and you know, it had a cat cafe. So we put the tree upside down, stick to the yeah, we put a stick to the ceiling. So we put everything you know, in a different way, and it was really successful, because you know, cats couldn't reach it and nobody noticed, so it didn't cause any particular stress. For me, the tree is something that I think about in, you know, in different ways, not just, you know, having a plastic tree or having a real tree. Both have concerns for me, so it's something that I don't like, and I don't enjoy that much. For me, it's the biggest party, would say, it's a New Year's for me. So I don't do many of the stuff regarding to that. But if I have to put a tree in my house, what I would do is, you know, I always teach my cats to do things slowly. Instead of bringing a huge tree the first time, I will start with something small. I would start using that space with something, and you know, and adapt them slowly. Maybe a plant. Maybe you don't have to, you know, you can just have a plant, and a plant can cause stress, because if you bring like a huge plant, one out of blue, then the cat might react the same way as if you brought a Christmas tree. That I will think about the decorations, and also you can do decorations with things that the cat can play with. That's what I do. Since I do my toys with wool, I did things that I'm still have to hang them, because you know, I haven't had the time. But I wanted to hang like small, you know, things like small balls of wool. And if they throw it away, I don't care, because it's toys and it's for them, right? So you have to think about when you're doing that they might get excited by things that you put in the house there for this festivities. So that would be my first advice. Think about the materials and how you hang things, and how you introduce those things to your cats when you're in Christmas time.
Yeah, it's Christmas for us versus Christmas for them, isn't it? You know. Sorry, exactly. Brendan, go on. What are you going to say?
Because you know, there's just some great little things that you can get that.
Yeah.
He's been dying to put those up. I'm surprised he managed to wait 10 minutes. He did that as soon as I joined the call.
Oh, there's so nice.
But yeah, there's so many things like that you can just get absolutely for your cats to really enjoy.
And stockings, you know, those are those are good too. And you know, there are many things.
Yeah, I mean, the first year we had a Christmas tree with Leo, and we moved the sofa down slightly, so there was a bigger space, and we left that for a few days, you know. And I'm quite risk averse, you know. I've said to you all before, I do things quite slowly, you know. Then we bought the tree and we left it for a couple of days to soak up the water, to let the needles, you know, the branches sort of drop, to let Leo get used to it, you know. Then a couple of days later, we put the lights on, then the decorations. Unfortunately, we're not having a tree this year because it sets off his asthma. So the last 2 years, when we've had a real tree, he's had more asthma attacks. And then couple that this year with baby Max, who's never seen a tree before. And I just thought, we've had Leo with inappropriate urination around the house. We've got baby Max who's new to a tree. It makes Leo's asthma bad. I'm like, do you know what? For those reasons, like, is it worth it? Like, for me to have a beautiful sparkly tree, and you can see I like my lights. I love sparkle stuff. But actually, this year the cats win, because for them it's going to be much more stressful to have one in the house than the joy it would bring me, and I'm going to be worried about them. So we've got nice 1980s hanging decorations from the ceiling, which they can look at but can't get to.
Yeah, that's those. Yeah.
And there is so many things that we can actually do as well. For instead of the tree, there are now these wonderful things to do with you cut fence panels. There's somebody creating this charity thing for giving toys to kids, and literally they are going in and just you get these, when you pay for them, that money goes to charity to give toys to kids that aren't going to get a Christmas. And ultimately it just goes in, and you end up you can just decorate them as normal, but they don't have the smell. There's something you can literally just put on decorations, and it's a lot more friendly for the cats. They can use it as a scratching post, all sorts of things like that. So there are options there.
You gave me an idea. Now I have loads of boxes from the movie, so I might end up having a cardboard Christmas tree.
We have created a cardboard fort. We've got a fort. That's my boy's Christmas present this year. We had a massive cardboard box through my delivery, and I'll put pictures in our chat. I've cut little holes in it. I've put little shapes in it. So we've got little ones that can poke in and out. There's a cat door to go in through the bottom. So we've got a new play fort. That's our Christmas tree.
Right. I might. Well, if I have the time, I might do something. Just for the cats. It's like just for the kids,
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's celebrate Christmas just for the
kids. Brendan, there's a spammer on the chat. Do you want to?
I'm just removing them.
Lovely.
Reporting them and removing them.
So we talked a little about anxiety with trees. What about one of the things that causes me anxiety at Christmas is family, people, humans.
Actually, if you now that you say so, because we are going to launch on March a course about feline and human anxiety, and the therapist that I'm launching this with, she says now is the time of the year whether you grow up and put some boundaries, because every Christmas is an opportunity to tell your family all whatever you think and grow a little bit, as an adult. And that's very intense. And the thing is that it's not only just the gatherings, it's also you're buying presents. Sometimes you feel forced to buy presents. That's how, at least in my family, it was like that. You have to buy a present for every single one. You have to do that. You have to cook for a lot of people. We were a huge family. And then the tree, the gathering. So now that I have a cat, because I didn't at that time, but now that I have a cat, it's like how many people? 4? That's enough. Okay. So I'm thinking in smaller venues is better. Just to keep the environment cool. And if you have to meet your family, thankfully I don't. Everyone is spread around the world now, so it's good. I only meet with friends and have fun with it, and everyone has cats, so it's like the perfect world here. But if that happens to you, take a time to think about, and that's one of the things I promote, is take a time to think about and talk to your cat about things. Just sit around with that and said, my God, I have to do this. I always tell people to do that because it relaxes you, and also it makes you it creates some communication with your cat. It doesn't matter, you're human, and one of the things that I say to people is just express your your emotions, yourself to your cat, because otherwise you're expressing it the same way, but through energy and not through words. And it's better to put words on it. And
she's frozen.
She has. That's what it comes to living in Mallorca.
Yeah, that's how stress comes out. You go and you freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be my recommendation for people, because you kind of the other things is like, go to therapy and fix it, but
You mentioned that before, this therapy piece. Like, hopefully they're not that stressed, but it has its place for sure. I think you're right. I think communication is the key. So talk to your cat about what's happening so that you can shift your own energy and emotions. Mm-hmm. But also, don't be afraid, everyone, to talk to people that are coming to your house. So I say to my family, please don't ring the doorbell, because it really upsets Leo. I was going to swear then and had to consciously not to. So he goes shooting out of the door, whereas which is what they do now, they gently tap on the door, or I look for the window to see them coming down, and then they kind of come in the house nice and quietly. They don't go towards the cats and things, so it's about communicating to people and saying, this is what I need you to do when you come to my house. It's my home. It's their space. I need you to honor that, like you would if you went to, a grandparent's house or a house that's got children or whatever. You don't let the kids run out the front door. Well, I need you to respect what happens in our house. If you're going to come to my space, this is what me and my boys need. I think it's about having those conversations. Would you do that kind of thing, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Look, the really young kids, coming to visit, that can be sometimes, they don't have pets of their own, and all of a sudden it's like it's just like a soft toy. Oh, pussycat! It's like, it literally is like these big hands coming towards
and
you.
And
it's just like you can just see the anxiety on your cat as the ears go back, and then it's like.
Yeah, we're laughing, but it's not funny, right? When you see the cats like that, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh. So there are some ground rules, and I generally set, certainly to the kids, is that, look, please don't approach the cats, because that's, the one thing that's super anxious for, or anxiety driving for those situations. Creating lots of hiding spaces.
Yeah.
I know where my cats love to hide, and that's giving them that opportunity to be able to escape, and so it can be as simple as saying to the parents, look, just don't let your kids upstairs. There's a downstairs toilet, just use that. If they need to go to the loo, just we've got, the cats are a bit anxious with everybody running around, can we just leave them upstairs, and that side of things, so the cats know that they've got an escape place. That's not somewhere that they're going to be face to face with, rowdy adults by the time it gets to 8 o'clock in the evening with all of the alcohol. But it's,
wow, I was going to put you said a lot earlier than that.
Somebody's already written, what, you've had the wine already? It's only 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon.
Thanks, Heidi. Unfortunately, not yet.
This is just us, not alcohol free. I mean,
this is just Christmas crazy.
Ground rules, I think, are certainly important. I mean, they are for dogs too, but I think even more so for cats. And if people don't get it, I just say, if you want to carry on like that, then don't mind if your child has a slash across the face when they leave, because they and that usually then wakes the adults up to stopping their child doing that. So
you'd hope it wouldn't get to that point, right? So my niece, she's 8, and she's always in, like you said, straight to the fluffy, fluffy ones. And my dad's cat's much more tolerant. My two, like Leo, not a chance. Like, he is a shadow in our house. Baby Max, a little bit better, but I've still had to, every time she comes in, she's desperate to be with them. And I said to her, sweetheart, that's fine. But for example, once Leo was hiding, so I said, we can go up to the room. You can have a look in the room. I promise you won't see him because he'll be behind the bed. Auntie Jules, can we look behind the bed? I said, no, sweetheart. I said, because he's nervous and scared and he needs to hide away. And we need to respect that. When you get afraid, and we kind of, gave her a like for like so she could understand rather than just saying no. It's, it was trying to help her understand the emotions that are there. And I think, like you said, Brendan, if the parents don't get it, or the kids don't get it, they're going to find out, because if you push a cat, they will react. You know, that when we look at another topic, aggression, it is crossing of a boundary. You know, we will do aggression, we will do more behavior stuff.
Yeah.
That was so funny. I just had to share with you guys out there viewing us. It's been a regular thing that, bless Julianne, she's super organized, and then I'll come along and just create a topic.
It really throws me off.
And this morning I said, "Oh, what topic are we discussing? Christmas?"
I don't know how I'm putting up with them, people.
Bless you.
Yeah. It's great. It helps me to grow. It helps me to grow and be patient and tolerant and find compassion.
She's managing her own anxiety. That's good.
Anxiety, aggression.
Yeah. I didn't reply. That's a really good point. Amaya, you said about the humans, our anxiety when you're like the food, like order the food, prep the food, have the people, get the drinks, do the presents, get the cards, sort the tree, get the decks, half term for school or whatever, holidays, it's like our anxiety just goes up and up and up, right? So regardless of the cats with the tree and the decorations and the people, their home, their environment, just from ourself is going to be heightened,
It is, and also there is one thing that I always discuss with this therapy that I work with. She said the important thing is to understand where's the origin of anxiety. And the origin of anxiety is not being in your true nature, whatever you should be, right? So whatever you are designed to be. It's not, you are outside your comfort zone where your brain feels safe. And then, so if you think about this, most people don't, well, at least in Europe, I don't know anywhere, but or in Spain, let's be clear. Sometimes you live in an apartment that is so small, or maybe you don't feel comfortable in your own home, and you expect your cat to be. And sometimes you live in a huge house, but the cat still is not used to be in a house. So we need to understand the anxiety is something normal. I mean, it's something that we made it normal, the way we live, the way we decided to have a cat in our house and things like that. So after that, then we have to say, okay, what level of anxiety? How can I address it? How can I, because, and then start asking the question on, am I happy in this house? Am I, doing things to keep myself okay? And then think about also your cat and everything that is around you. Because sometimes you talk about anxiety to people and they go like, well, and I heard this like a few weeks ago, and said, well, the cat has to adapt. And I said, adapt to what? It was like, I forced the cat to be in my house with me. And I, kind of made it my responsibility. So I don't have to ask him or her anything. I need to understand that they might have, but then you don't have the freedom to do whatever you want. She was like that, right? And I was like, because I made that choice. And it's my problem if it's my choice, right? But it's not the cat's choice. So the cat hasn't had to, adapt to my choices or my whatever. So I have to think about it. And she was like, oh yeah, you're like, you're those crazy cat ladies, she was like that.
Heartbreaking.
And it was, that I haven't heard that thing for a long time. And that happened like last week. And I was like, my God, there's still people like this.
Yeah.
So it's something to consider, right? Think about your own anxiety and think about your cat's anxiety, in a space that is not theirs,
Yeah,
definitely. sort of things that, so other than changing some of those environmental elements and talking to the people and sitting down and dealing with that, what other things are you doing? Are you, because I know, Julianne, you love your colors, you love your zoopharmacognosy. What sort of things are you reaching for generally when you start to try and advise people? Because it's not just about your own home here. This is about people, what they're using. What generally are you looking at? Are you individualizing things for cats, or are you starting at a sort of like, well, this, if they're anxious, these are the things that generally work? Where are you at?
Me or Amaya?
You, Julianne.
Me. So my first port of call is a herb garden, always with anxiety. So yes, you can do more oils and self-selection, like you said, the Zoo Farmer, but with any form of anxiety, I would advise people to use a herb garden. So you get a towel or a blanket, you put it in a lovely quiet space of the home, so not near their food, not near their litter tray, and not near a lot of foot traffic, so not like the hallway or the front room, somewhere kind of off to the side a little. And you get a beautiful big pinch, like, I don't know, half a palmful, a good sized amount of a dried herb, or flower. So for me, it would be like dried valerian root, wonderful for stress and anxiety. Then I would say probably chamomile. So like we all know, when we're stressed, you have a cup of chamomile tea, the effect is just the same for cats. So I would say valerian, chamomile, let me think of 4. I'd probably go rosebuds, so always use organic. So rose is really nurturing, so if you've got the heightened state, the valerian will help to kind of reduce that, and then the rose will give that emotional support where the fear is coming from with their heart space. And then I would probably say, it's a tough one, I'm looking at my list.
Yeah.
I'd probably say, what was that?
No, just
what did you say?
waiting for your last one.
Drum roll.
Like,
My last one would probably be calendula or marigold, because it helps to boost self-confidence. It's orange, so it does, as you said, with color, supports the sacral chakra, which is all about individuality and the cat's confidence in themselves. So you put basically a good pile in each corner, and you let the cat do what they need to. So some cats will rub and roll around, some cats will just sit near the herbs, some of them will lick or ingest them. And it's about giving them the opportunity to have that coping mechanism. So that's the basis of it. We as humans, we might have a glass of wine, we might go out for a walk in nature, we might go meditate, we might watch a film. Our coping mechanisms are different depending on what we're dealing with and where our anxiety is coming from. And with the cat, as you said, Brendan, we've got to have hidey hole spaces. We've got to have places up high if they're climbers. But herbs and flowers, being that they're dried, they're so safe, they're so natural, but it gives the cat another chance to deal with their stress levels. And being that it's kind of slightly tucked away means that they can lean into that space, that opportunity to release those anxieties and emotions that are in them. Because it's not just, we don't just stop them having it, right? We've got to help them to pass it through almost. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so my go-to for everyone would be a herb garden to start with. They're really safe. You don't need to have, previous experience. You can get them and put it down, and 9 times out of 10 I've had cats use them, so it's very unusual, unless you're looking at a more specific garden like for digestion or something, that it's not used. Because when a cat is dealing with anxiety or stress, they are a bit different in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They will go to it because they need more than what we currently provide, to be able to support themselves.
And how much space do you give them between those plants? Do you tend to sort of like give a corner to each plant? Do you tend to sort of put all plants together and they choose from them? What's your thoughts there?
So generally I put one in each corner. So I will put 4 down at once, mostly because if the cat only wants one, if this was the mat, they would sit facing that corner. if they want more, they will position their body in different ways. So like I've had cats before that will put their root chakra, put their bum towards the valerian root, and they will have their throat perhaps near the calendula. You know, we've got to trust the cat. This is another topic. Self-selection, you know, zoopharmacognosy. They have the innate capacity to know what they need to heal. We don't know enough about it. We don't watch them enough. We don't offer it enough. We don't let them do it enough. So I would be putting one in each corner. I don't put more than 4 down. My gardens, because I have the gardens on my website, there's 6 in a packet, but I would only put 4 down because you don't want to overwhelm them and, you know, let them choose. Yeah.
Great. And Amaya, what's your sort of favorite little additions, you know, that maybe you're using the home to calm?
Well, the first thing I do is to have a talk about the environmental, you know, because sometimes you're not aware of what you have until you have an issue, right? Maybe your litter box is not in the way we're supposed to be, or isn't the right size. So I go to the basics, totally basics. And then, as Julianne said, I will go to the zoopharmacognosy. I try different ways. If I, you know, since my consultations are online, usually I go, like you say, for herbs at a time. But if someone is experienced, or maybe with my own cats, what I do, it's I usually try to gather. We all sit on the floor with a lot of herbs, and then I go like I like to point out their curiosity. So what I go is like, okay, let's see what is in there. So, you know, and
how does it go?
Like, let's go. I open up something. I go, what is in there? So let's see. So, you know, I like to get them excited and curious. That is something
ditto.
Yeah. I was like this. Oh, yeah. So yeah, because when you do this sounds like so silly, but when you do this, then you have to put them in a carrier, and it's the same thing. You just go and say, "Oh, let's see what is inside," and then you close the door. Take it to the
and then they're like.
So I try to make them a little bit more curious. If I like to play with it, and on additions of the plants that you say, I would I think it's in English is a orange blossom. That's one I would add. I would add lavender sometimes. It depends on the type of anxiety, and then mint or angelica root.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes when they are too stressed, angelica opens them up, and then allows you to use other things. So that would be. But I also use all of the ones you said. I think it's good to have a lot of herbs as much as you can, and then try and not to get discouraged if the cat doesn't like it at the first when you start, and then keep trying, keep using it. Use it as a time to to stress out or yourself as well. Sit down. I mean, yeah, when you, I mean, if this is an activity you can have with your cat and have fun with it, right? And this also reduces your anxiety, that it's also helping,
Yeah.
So that would be my
I really like those ideas and the plants and the herbs, and I certainly would say bless little Harry, who is now one of the rules the roost, not so little, and he's so socialized that if anything it's trying to calm him down. I mean, if I just went, "Oh, what's in here?" to him, I mean, God. He'd have run up my back, jumped over my shoulder, and piled in. God, where, Dad? Where?
What is it?
We were soil and plants and everything everywhere. It was just like. So yeah, he's maybe not the most anxious cat ever. It's like but certainly for Spider, she's a little bit more, but she loves. I mean, they have their own individual characters, don't they? So you do have to adapt a little bit to those. And I would certainly say, there's some people asking about. So Emily, things that we can add, into food, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit in supplements. But certainly adding into water, use some of the essences. So the flower essences can be really useful on the homeopathic front, for people that are worried about, they don't know whether they've got the herbs right, and they get really anxious about that. I think you're really super safe with the herbs that we've mentioned today. But I think even if you're not sure about those, you'll find that actually there's a number of plants which you should avoid, and that's really just the lilies and things like that.
Yeah,
obviously just be careful about those. But I think if you're coming to herbs, and certainly edible herbs, you're going to be pretty safe across the park there. So if it's in a pot for you putting in your cooking, you can certainly try some of those things around, and see if your cat goes to them and look them up as to why that might be that they're going to take those. So that's another option. Okay, or you just go to Julianne's site and look at all the herbs you can buy for your. There you go.
All the information for the herbs.
So, but I love things like, you've got the sort of rescue remedies, probably the one that's on just about every pharmacy shelf that we use for humans. It's exactly the same one for animals. So you can use that without any problem, just 3 or 4 drops into a drinking water bowl. Don't make it the only bowl in the house. And again, allowing them to choose it, is really useful. There are remedies like aconite can be really useful if you've got the cat that actually freezes, becomes terrified. That's a real aconite, sort of things. The ones which are restless and sort of rush around, that may be more phosphorus, those side of things. The ones that become depressed and just sort of like almost mope because they don't like what's going on, they're nature mures. Those are certainly options that you can use in those circumstances. So those are the useful additions. I love the herbs that you've talked about, and certainly valerian I've used a lot, and but sometimes I do find some of them are almost addictive for some cats. They will almost seek them out, and I've seen quite a few toys. I think the what's the famous company that makes Kongs? Company of Animals, really have started to, pack anything. Well, it used to be catnip, but they've started to put valerian in their toys and stuff to almost attract cats to them, not really as a calmer as much as anything as to get them excited. And I played a video to you guys of Harry with a valerian infused little wool creature from a very good friend of mine. You can understand he's not an anxious cat. He just thought it was a great thing to
play with. Exactly.
It's a great release of emotions for him. Great release of energy. It's important. Good.
And sometimes there's a good point that you made here, because sometimes when I do these toys with different herbs that is not valerian, and so the cat is not that attracted to, sometimes people are saying, oh, this is not working. And I say, hold on, maybe it's not the herb that you had to. So I usually recommend to buy the toys once you tried self-selection before. So and you know what your cat usually likes. So you can make a better decision. It's not just to have, the valerian. The valerian is the top seller, of course, because people want to, the cat play with their toys. But it's just also to have something that it's, have a herb. Sometimes some people are afraid of, oh, the cat is going to eat it. And despite you tell them that if they have to eat it, it's okay or whatever, some people are concerned about that. So, it's a way to have it in a safe way. And they say, and they are expecting to have this amusement, this toy, that like everybody's selling. So it is a good point to make there.
So additions, nutritional additions. Amaya, we'll go the other way around this time, I think. Have you come across anything that you feel particularly works well? Are you, things that you advise for cat owners?
Well, I have to say that sadly, nothing that I'm really fan of or anything. No, I do have some supplements that I use, but they're, you know, I usually don't use any of those commercial brands that well, they have like tea extract or this I don't know how you say this in English now that I'm thinking of
That's fine.
El calostro, the thing of the you know, like
Give us a
this,
clue.
from the milk, the first milk.
Colostrum.
Oh, it's the same way. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So there are several things. Those things never usually worked for me because maybe they work if you work with other things aside. But I have to say that the best one, if you manage to, is to pieces of meat and meaty bones. That's for me the best thing for anxiety. Or maybe you can get some sticks from lamb tripe. I think it's lamb tripe. Those are dry. And what I do is I just hold them until they, you know, get excited with the biting and, you know, playing around with that. And that's for me the best. Actually, and the pieces of meat that you can hang outside the bowl. Those things are like the best thing to, you know, to distract them from anything. And then if I have to go deeper because that what doesn't work, I usually go with there is one product here that it's called Pacifil. I don't know if you have it there, which has valerian, passiflora, and I don't know what else. It has like different, but it's very natural. They do homeopathic remedies usually, but this is not. This is simply the herbs and stuff. I use a lot of back flowers as well, and if I have to go even deeper, and the food, for example, is not the best that I can find, I will go to tryptophan. Tryptophan works really good for me sometimes, but it usually it's because the diet is not there, right? But that will be my favorite choice.
Yeah, there's certainly a number of those tryptophan options out there of from stress and anxiety, from the NutriVet range and Vet Pro, all the way through to you know, the Vet Plus products that you can get, that even Adaptil and the Feliways have actually got a tablet version of a tryptophan, you know, effectively a serotonin precursor, you know, in their tyrosines, a few things like that. That will help, some magnesium supplementation in there as well. So they can be useful additions into the food. Certainly widely available now, both through your vets and even your pet stores when you're looking at those sort of things. Certainly of those amino acids being added in. Some people would debate whether it truly is a change in the serotonin that would affect the brain. Others will say, you know, even bone broth, you know, I can't get through very far without mentioning bone broth, you know, because I've just got to hold it up again. I'm not even sponsored by these guys. Okay.
I want to change that.
You know, that you can actually add either reconstitute and add warm over their food, you know, but the glycine levels helping to stimulate gut floral change, and the connection between gut flora and the mental health is so well known. I mean, it's been known for over 100 years, and just trying to actually encourage some of that probiotic, you know, if you've really got an anxious cat who has got GI upset and, you know, IBD episodes, there is no greater thing than firstly trying to truly adjust what's going on with the gut flora. Okay. And you may see not just a change in their IBD, but a change in their anxiety, their whole energy that's going on. So I would absolutely back, you know, doing those things and having a look. And I think that's sometimes why some people try and use the colostrums. there's a little bit of an issue of importing into the UK some of those colostrums at the moment, especially from the States. So there's been sort of various ones which have come and gone. So do keep an eye out if you've been used to ordering them, that they may not be available depending on where they're coming in from. Julianne, you know, have you got some useful additions for foods, or are you?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm glad you went to Amaya first, because my response is like, oh God, I wouldn't be putting stuff in the food, right? Because for me, like, it would be trying and look at all of the stuff first, you know, look at their environment, their relationships, their stimulation levels, their mental health, emotional health, you know, and then looking at physical. So nutrition, it is the foundation, right? It is the foundation of good health and well-being. And because of the experience I've had with my own cats, I have anxiety about putting stuff into food, because, you know, you can turn cats off it and have a whole different host of problems. But I agree with you. I think the bone broth is great. My recommendations would be get them off any form of dry food if they're on it, because like you said, you know, we're RPM, or be it cat feline Fridays, you know, nutrition is key. So off any form of dry food, you know, even if it's just a few little bits of kibble, you know, in the mornings and things, try and replace it with freeze dried, because, you know, putting that into the body, the whole host of issues that it brings, but those little bits of sugars, you know, it's going to get the body, you know, reverberating with energy. So if the cat has a tendency for anxiety, that's not going to help them to find balance and to feel healthy and well. So when it comes to nutrition and anxiety, it would be get them off dry and replace that with freeze dried if possible, but onto, you know, high quality wet, or obviously, as Amaya said, raw, you know, and bringing in those bits of play and pray in terms of food will boost physical, mental and emotional health. You know, it will be off the chart. You may need to encourage the cat with your beautiful high-pitched Disney voice to get invested in it, you know. It may take a go or two to, you know, get them involved, because they're cautious and they're going to perhaps be reluctant to begin with. But persevere, you know, make it fun, make it a thing that you do together. And then, as you said, Brendan, I would then be looking at gut biome support. So, you know, is there a probiotic that you can use occasionally, or as a, you know, an intermediate boost to support what's going on there? Because, as you said, the link is, you know, phenomenally well known. Gut biome support isn't an area that I generally am very specialized in. So, you know, I have one probiotic that we occasionally use, but it's not an area of expertise for me, which is why I think I would look at all the other stuff beforehand. And then if there was still anxiety that couldn't be dealt with, or there was remnants of it affecting the cat that wasn't improved by environment and things like that, I'd then be getting in secondary help, you know. And that's the point to make to people, like, you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. You know, we've all got resources and places that we can support you with, but sometimes that, which I'm very fond of, that holistic approach, is looking at complementary and allopathic and environmental, you know, what can you do to help them, and you know, try one avenue, try one perspective. But if you can't figure it out yourself, you know, get help from another expert. You know, have a team. We should be having a team of people that support our cats. It's not just my vet or just my acupuncturist, whatever. You know, I don't just have one way that I keep myself healthy and well. So it should be the same for our fur babies too. Sorry, that felt a bit ranty then.
And when you say Brendan, probiotics, because for me it's a little bit more feeding the bacteria that you have, and then for example, what you say, how they feel if they have constipation, or you know, they have this regular vomits and stuff, you know, that also causes a little bit of anxiety because they are not feeling well. So that's a really good point to make there. And I would go sometimes I would use a little bit of vitamin B, you know, a complex vitamin B. And in Pharmacognosy, I would offer spirulina. I forgot about that one, because that sometimes when they are very anxious, maybe they won't eat it ever, but then if you have an you know, like now Christmas time, you know, you can have your spirulina there.
It's a liquid, actually, so I'd have a green moustache if I did that. It's not for me, it's for Leo.
Yeah, sure. No, it's
Listen, you got to lower the tone. Look, she's mid-conversation. Amaya, carry on.
And so what would you suggest is a probiotic? Because there are many different options, and people, when at least here in Spain, when they think about probiotic, they think about only one, the most common one, and I don't like that. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I love the idea of postbiotics. I look at that with vitamin Bs and things like that. There's a number of those out there. It's becoming a new phrase that's out. So look out for postbiotics being a thing. But I definitely like prebiotic, adjustment. I still like the idea of things like the Phytospore, which are effectively put in some of the bacteria that farm friendlies, okay, and sort of outcompete some of the nasties there. But I am finding in a number of cases that you have to almost clear the earth in order to allow those to establish. And I don't mean with antibiotics. I'm talking about using some of the herbs, and we've got to be a wee bit careful with that when you come along. But there's a number of options which can just Trantol is one that I've used before, and it just helps to reduce the bacteria, the bad bacterial numbers that can cause some of those things like the IBD symptoms of of GERD, which is the gastroesophageal reflux, and also the constipation, and some gurgling and bloat. There's some of the these methanobacteria smithii that are causing those symptoms, that can actually also lead to levels of anxiety. You can reduce, and it's a combination of peppermint, wormwood, which is
nice.
in there. Oh, and Amaya's gone. And she didn't like what I was saying. And she probably was trying to look it up.
Yeah.
And some chestnut. And those things can be really useful to sort of reduce bacterial numbers. But what Amaya was saying, interestingly, talking about the effects thereof, with constipation and leading to anxiety, is that actually what I sometimes see is that you will get high levels of sympathetic drive out competing the parasympathetic normal structure of the gut function. And so if you've got a cat that's super anxious, then you can get disruption of their gut function, because the autonomic nervous system is a balance of parasympathetic and sympathetic drive. And if they're constantly being harried by a cat outside, or people coming to visit, or instability in their environment, that sympathetic drive is always going up and their parasympathetic is being suppressed, and they can end up with all sorts of even physical disease because of that. So it is a balance. I think it's a two-way street. It's not as simple as one leads to the other. And as Amaya was saying, the having some of those problems can increase their sympathetic drive, if they've got levels of constipation, etc. But it is something to watch out for both ways. Somebody actually, Bob, you put in about any thoughts on CBD oils. I'm guessing oils, not just pure cannabis, for these kitty cats. We are cautious with CBD just because of the liver metabolism. We know the sensitivities that cats can have in their livers for true drugs like paracetamol and things like that, that actually CBD is very akin in the neurotransmitters and metabolism to gabapentin, and can certainly help in some of these circumstances. However, super cautious if you're going to offer it to cats. It literally is a drop at a time. You're going to need to, don't suddenly go in with 3-4 drops. Literally, I would put a drop on a plate and allow them to investigate it. Don't go putting a drop in their gum or anything like that. Now, the one other thing to remember is the liver will take out about 90% of CBD on first passage from the gut into the main part of the bloodstream in normal animals. Okay, so if you want maximum effect, you may find that you have to apply it to the gum away from food and things like that. So it becomes a little bit more difficult to try and control in cats to get the maximum effect without it being ingested. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things around CBD. I think, yeah, it's thoroughly untested. I see lots of vets reaching for gabapentin. I'd probably prefer to go for CBD than gabapentin because now they're able to access it in smaller and smaller doses. But it's still off-label, okay, and it's still something that's experimental in that sense. So if you're going to use it with extreme care, I would definitely say.
I would echo that. And also, you know, you've got to look at the concentrations, you've got to look at the makeup, you've got to look at how pure it is, the potency. You know, my thoughts on that would be to go to the original. So I would be getting the hemp essential oil and I would be putting like 1 drop on a piece of fabric, and you see what their cat does. If they need the calming properties, they'll rub and roll around, they'll sit with that piece of fabric. Or you can get the essential oil and put it in a bowl of water, like you said, 1 drop, dilute it, see what they want to do with it. I've had people contact me saying I've been putting it in my cat's food, they're now not eating, they're really lethargic. I'm like, no, it doesn't go in food. You know, of all the self-selection recommendations I would make, you know, CBD for me is really high up there. Like you said, Brendan, very cautious, and it's great. It's getting such a good rap for humans, and the market has exploded, but there isn't a lot of information, and it can be a bit like lavender essential oil. You know, it can be very adulterated. You don't know the purity, the concentration. So I would be going to hemp essential oil and offering it safely on a bit of fabric or diluted in water. That's my kind of risk adverse way to use it. Amaya?
As you said, it is more of a trend for me that. I mean, it has really good properties, and sometimes it helps a lot in different and other things. I never use it for anxiety because it's already too difficult to administer. Too difficult. I mean, there's no point if you're trying to deal with anxiety, create a stressful situation just to put a drop of CBD. That for me would be like pointless. You know, there are so many other things that you can do. Instead of trying this at the beginning, I would go and try to make them feel better in another way, and then maybe for other things, CBD it's amazing, but not for this. So yeah, I'm like that. I mean, I'm not very fond of anxiety. CBD.
It's a great question, though. It's great to be able to talk about it because it's not something we've mentioned through the other lives that we've done. So thank you, Bob. It was a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So I think there's a number of things. Have we missed any key elements? Anything that you'd like to add, Julianne?
Yes, there is one, actually. I thought about it earlier, just circling back to Christmas. We mentioned about family and decorations and trees, etc. One thing to say is when it comes to anxiety, you know, cat's eye view at Christmas, don't be alarmed if your cat's eating habits change because you've got people coming to and fro the house, okay? And I say this more from my own perspective to, you know, release your own anxiety about the cats just haven't eaten yet, you know, because they will eat when they feel safe and able to do so. So as Brendan said, you know, if they've got access to upstairs, it might be you put a bowl in a different place, you know, but, you know, if their food station is always downstairs and you've got guests, they may not come in the room to eat. So just be mindful thinking about how you can support them to feel safe and secure with their eating whilst you've got guests in and around the house. And when it comes to Christmas Day morning, if the house is going crazy and the cat's like, what the hell, you know, and goes out for a little bit or hides away for a while, you know, trust that they will eat when they feel safe and able to do so. So have a think about if you need to move where their food is. Once or twice we've put, when Leo's been hiding under a blanket that's kind of draped over the edge of the bed, we've taken a plate of food up and put it one end of that kind of blanket coveredness and he's eaten. So, you know, it's just to kind of bear in mind we're thinking about, you know, the anxiety levels, and we just didn't mention about eating. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
I've now got this this
Go
thought,
on.
this picture in my head of eating habits change and Harry disappearing out of the cat flap, nipping around the neighbours, dragging the Christmas turkey back through his cat flap. It's just like, Dad, have you seen what they're leaving on their side? Yeah, his eating habits suddenly increase. He'll be sat there on Christmas afternoon with a huge belly of stolen turkey. Just like
It was spirulina, Emily and Caitlin. Thank you. Yes.
yes, sorry.
Yes, spirulina. Organic.
So we got diverted there.
I can imagine it as well from what you share with us. He's a bit of a bruiser, dragging the turkey back.
Oh, bless. So any other questions out there? Anything that you wanted? I think a lot of people want to know a bit more about the spirulina. Are you advising, because there are different sources of spirulina, so you do need to be a wee bit careful. There are some from the Far East that they're using pits in the ground to create their spirulina. Just be cautious, because they can be quite high in arsenic levels. So there is that, but there's quite a few places now they're literally growing them in glass tubes across the deserts and areas of Portugal as well. Actually, I think I saw a whole algal farm scenario where they literally have, they just have these glass tubes, almost looks like some sci-fi fencing thing that they've put up, and they're just literally so that they can grow the maximum amount of these algal, including spirulinas, in a sterile farm, and it just sort of like they carry on flowing the waters and nutrients through those farms. So it's spectacular when you see them. But there's all sorts of ways. Have a look at the sourcing.
That's very important.
Be cautious.
Yeah, it's very important. And for me, it would be if you can, don't wait until the Christmas parties or anything to start working with your cat, because despite Christmas is not my favorite one, I am a very social person, and I do have people home like loads of time. So when my cat is a little bit afraid of people, and what I did is started with one person, but and another one, and try and a box in a place, and try to figure out different hiding spaces, environmental enrichment, and work with this continuously until it now is not. Actually, today I was surprised they installed internet, and he was with the guy with the tech, and he was like, I was like, wow, this is actually paying off.
Excellent.
And that would be my advice for this Christmas. Do it all year. I mean, don't expect to make a change on the Christmas time, just like that.
Yeah. Anxiety is an all year problem. It's not just for Christmas.
Exactly. Yep.
And for Emily, just before I move on to my one thing that we've missed, so Julianne, what's your favorite brand of spirulina? What are you using? What's in your green little tub at the moment?
I get mine from Caroline Ingram, Wild Health Shop it used to be called, but I think it's just Caroline Ingram now. She is the pioneer of applied zoopharmacognosy, so she is, she's brought it into the homes for animals. So I know and trust all the products that she has are safe to use and offer with my boys.
Yeah,
so
Caroline's great at due diligence. So
I don't get anything particularly for the boys in terms of self-selection from anywhere else, really. It's great high quality, and I know that it's safe to use.
And I would just reiterate that that's a really good point, that actually if you're at all worried that you don't have a good source, there are some great herbalists out there. You can literally go down to the local herbal shop, in your local town, and if you've got a rapport with them, you can ask the question, have they done the due diligence? They usually will have products like spirulina. It's exactly the same for cats as it would be for humans, so it's not going to be that there's some little feline version out there. Literally just go have that conversation, check that they've done the due diligence. If they say, oh, I'm really sorry, no, we just get it in, it's the cheapest that's available, then that's probably not the conversation you want to be having, and
exactly.
you'd leave that product. So I think it's just a case of, if they know where it's come from, they know how it's produced, then that's the sort of information you need. Okay.
Yeah, I just popped a link in there to Caroline.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
so
great.
Brendan, what's your one takeaway? What's the one thing you wanted to share?
Well, the thing that we've not talked about is pheromones. We've not talked about things like Feline and Feline friends. We've totally not dealt with those, and loads of people ask about them. And I would say there are changes in how we use those now, and there's also pet remedies, which is a little bit of the valerian and stuff. You've just got to be careful with all of those, that you are often infusing the whole house inadvertently. And I would say, if you can pop, some of they have often a spray version, which you can then just spray onto a bit of cloth or a bed. And if your cat is attracted to them, great, then you can move on to, being a little bit more fulsome with the approach. But if they just go, I'm not going anywhere near that, or I'm not going in the room with it,
or they pee on it.
Or they pee on it.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Please don't plug it in. It's like, so all of those have a spray. Even the Feline, which, just to reiterate, that's the one that if you make an environmental change, so maybe you paint, decorate, something like that, or you are looking at the Christmas tree coming in, things like that, then Feline certainly can help in those circumstances. If you've got loads of people visiting, maybe even with pets, hopefully not another cat, because that's really, really stressful. But, maybe even with pets, then look at Feline Friends. It's now out there. It's really the one that we use or advise if it's cat on cat sort of aggression stuff going on. But there is a spray version. The visitors can spray their own hands with it, and it has a pheromone in it. As I said before, spray some onto a little bit of a cloth, leave it in a room to see if your cat investigates and how their approach is to it. Now, if you're a pure Yorkshireman like me and you want to cut costs, then Feline Friends, you can cheat by getting a J cloth, dampening it, squeeze it out, rub it on your cat, so that it picks up their pheromones, and then you pass that across to your visitor. And that doesn't have to be super fresh, but you can literally, come on, they put it on their hands. Oh my god, there's a bit of a body wash.
Rub yourself on my cloth.
They're doing blue, it's a little bit of...
Brendan.
It's not back rub.
Taking that little bit further.
Wait for us next year.
Oh my god.
So anyway, pheromones. So you can just pass those pheromones from your cat on to visitors, so that it's a little bit less anxious about that. So just look at that. Those are, we didn't really deal with pheromones in depth, but I think those are useful things to think about. But before we leave, we've got to do a little bit of a plug for what's coming in February. Come on, Julianne.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
So I'm happy to share now. Last month you caught me completely off guard. So in February 25th and 26th in 2023, we have the second Holistic Cat Conference. And I am thrilled to be offering it for a second year. So it's a free event. We will have an option for VIPs. And we've got 9 sensational speakers, 2 of which are on my camera, on my screen here. And basically, I know, I was like, it's actually, you're up there and Amaya's that way from me, but anyway.
That's right.
Forward, backwards.
Exit through the back of the room.
Sides of the, so the Holistic Cat Conference, it is about cats, and there is, the topics that we're covering are how to have a holistic approach. So we've got vets coming to talk about nutrition. We've got Amaya talking about the magic of mushrooms. Brendan's doing homeopathy. We have got chakra cleansing. We have got Chinese 5 elements. We've got Caroline Ingram coming to talk about cats and essential oils. So we have a whole host of different topics. It's a 2-day event, and it's really to help people to have a different perspective. You know, we've said today, and I'm sure we've said it on other sessions, it's never a one size fits all, and it's never a one way is the way. You know, every cat is different. And the idea of the conference is to give all of you cat guardians an opportunity to dip your toe in, to experience other modalities, other treatment options, and to be able to give your cat that, you know, holistic and complete approach to their care, their health and well-being. So registration will be opening in January. It hasn't opened just yet. It's going to open in January. And in later on this month, we've got a countdown on the 25th. So there'll be a little bit more information there. So if you don't follow me, Naturally Cats, already on Instagram and Facebook, be sure to come and follow me so you get all the updates. And Brendan, when you get a chance, do me a favour and sign your contract and send it back.
You know I'm good for it.
I know.
So that you will see some posts on Raw Pet Medics. So we'll have some links through. We're going to do a reverse advent calendar towards the countdown to January opening the booking, so that'll be great, won't it?
Nice. Yes, so Raw Pet Medics are a sponsor, and I'm thrilled to be able to partner with them. The other sponsors that we've got are Perform, so the Raw Cat Food brand, and the RFVS, Raw Feeding Veterinary Society. So the sponsorship that we have is because nutrition is key. You know, you can't have a healthy cat if you've got poor nutrition. So yeah, it's going to be an epic event. So be sure to keep a lookout for it, peeps. And I'm really excited to be hosting it. And thank you to you two for being part of it as well.
No problem. Yeah.
I don't know which way it goes.
We're going to create a dance for this. So Kathleen, yes, it's a remote event, all online.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
view as you will. I'm sure there's going to be some spectacular offers, so you can keep the videos, and there'll be some stuff that you can do for getting on live and all the rest of it. So
Yes.
Watch out for all of the information.
More details to come for sure. Yeah.
Great. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Oh, next one. We've got the 27th of January, I think it was, for next month, because we're having a little bit of break.
I don't.
You see.
Oh, I haven't written it in yet. Did you both reply to me? I think you said yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
I didn't say.
But I didn't put. Did I?
I haven't put the dates in mine. 27th of January. Check it out. Brendan is right. Oh my life.
Wow. So the
27th of
man.
January.
So what's the topic?
What's the topic? Brendan will go rogue, so let's just wait and see.
I'm waiting for Julianne to say one thing, and then I'll just come up with something totally random.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, if you can think of a topic and you're watching this, what you should do is just pop it in the comments below this video, which will stay live on Raw Pet Medics, so you can make a comment. We will have a look in the new year and see other things that you want to look at too, because we're going to be carrying on this throughout 2023. So we want some great topics, and we want to be informative to all of you out there. So you know, if you've got any particular things that you want to look at, please do make a comment. Next week, I'm back on Tuesday with Nick. Connor's away, relaxing in the sunshine. So we're going to be talking about testes and prostates and male sexual health for dogs and cats. I'm going to bring in some cats, you see.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, you
Nice. Thank you.
So we did a little bit on female neutering last year. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about male neutering, the impact. There is some interesting information out there for cats too, and it's always a compromise. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. There is also the Christmas party. If you want to join us for a little bit of a chuckle and a quiz on Tuesday the 20th, I think I want to say. is that's going to be join us with a glass of wine on Tuesday evening at 7 BST, which actually probably is not quite so good if you're the other side of the Atlantic, because that'll be join us for a glass of wine at lunchtime. So that might be wrecked for the rest of the day.
Right, just to let everybody know,
it would be great to see you all.
Sorry, Brendan, go on.
Yeah.
I'm just making a note on our Trello card. So diabetes, we've already got on there. Urinary issues, elderly cat care, dental issues. Lovely. Thank you, everybody. I will put them on the list.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we're seeing the comments. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So take care and see you all soon.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Have a beautiful Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And New Year's and stuff.
Merry Christmas indeed.
Bye-bye.